The Foundling Hospital was decorated for Christmas. Hetty Feather loved Christmas. She loved the carols and the decorations. Most of all, she loved the Christmas pudding. This year, the dining hall was decorated with paper chains. There was a big Christmas tree in the corner. It was decorated with candles and oranges. Hetty couldn't wait for Christmas Day.
I can't wait for Christmas Day!
One day, Hetty was called to Matron Bottomly's office. Matron Bottomly was a very strict woman. She ran the Foundling Hospital with an iron fist.
Hetty Feather, you have a visitor.
Hetty was surprised. She didn't have any family. Who could it be? Hetty was led into the visitor's room. A woman was sitting in the corner. She was wearing a long coat and a hat. Hetty didn't recognize her.
Hello, Hetty. My name is Mary. I'm a friend of your mother's.
Hetty's eyes widened. She had never met anyone who knew her mother. Mary reached into her bag. She pulled out a beautiful doll. It had rosy cheeks and curly hair. Hetty had always wanted a doll.
This is for you. Merry Christmas.
Hetty was so happy. She hugged the doll tightly. She couldn't believe it was hers.
I can't believe it's mine!
Hetty took her doll everywhere with her. It was her most cherished possession, a gift from her late grandmother. The doll had a beautiful blue dress and golden curls, and Hetty had named her Annabelle. Annabelle was not just a toy, she was Hetty's confidant and best friend. Wherever Hetty went, Annabelle was sure to follow. She showed it to all her friends. They would gather around Hetty during recess, eager to see what new adventures Annabelle had been on. Hetty would make up stories about Annabelle's travels, and her friends would listen in awe, their imaginations running wild. They were all very jealous. None of them had a doll as beautiful or as special as Annabelle. Some of the children even tried to make their own dolls, but none could compare to Hetty's. They wished they had a doll like Hetty's. They would often ask Hetty if they could hold Annabelle, but Hetty was very protective. She would let them look, but never touch. Annabelle was too precious to risk any harm. One day, Hetty was playing with her doll in the dormitory. She had just finished telling Annabelle a story about a magical forest when Matron Bottomly walked in. Matron Bottomly was known for her strict rules and stern demeanor. She saw the doll and her face grew thunderous. Matron Bottomly had a particular dislike for toys, believing they were a distraction from the children's studies and chores.
What is the meaning of this, Hetty Feather? Her voice was sharp and filled with disapproval. Dolls are not allowed in the dormitory. Matron Bottomly pointed to a sign on the wall that listed the dormitory rules. Hetty had seen the sign many times, but she had hoped that Annabelle would be an exception.
Hetty was terrified. She had never been in trouble with Matron Bottomly before, and the thought of losing Annabelle was unbearable. She didn't know what to do. Her mind raced as she tried to think of a way to keep Annabelle safe.
But Matron, it's a gift! It's Christmas! Hetty's voice was filled with desperation. She hoped that the spirit of the holiday would soften Matron Bottomly's heart.
Matron Bottomly snatched the doll away from Hetty. Her grip was firm and unyielding.
You are not to have this doll. Matron Bottomly's voice was cold and final. It will be locked away until after Christmas. She placed Annabelle in a cabinet and turned the key, ensuring that Hetty would not be able to retrieve her beloved doll.
Hetty was heartbroken. She felt as though a part of her had been taken away. The dormitory felt colder and lonelier without Annabelle by her side. Hetty vowed to find a way to get her doll back, no matter what it took. She knew that Annabelle was more than just a toy. She was a symbol of love and comfort, and Hetty would not rest until they were reunited. Hetty was heartbroken. She couldn't believe Matron Bottomly had taken her doll away. She felt like she didn't have anyone. On Christmas Eve, the children of the Foundling Hospital went to church. They sang Christmas carols and listened to the Christmas story. After church, they all went back to the Foundling Hospital for Christmas dinner. Hetty didn't feel like eating. She just wanted her doll back. Hetty sat by herself in the corner of the dormitory. She was the only one who didn't get a present. She felt like she didn't belong.
I feel like I don't belong.
Suddenly, Hetty heard a noise at the window. She looked up and saw a boy climbing in. It was her friend Jem. Jem was a street performer, always getting into trouble.
Jem, what are you doing here?
I came to rescue you. That old Matron Bottomly is a real meanie. Nobody should be alone on Christmas.
Jem helped Hetty climb out the window. They ran away from the Foundling hospital. Hetty was scared, but she was also excited. She was going to spend Christmas with her best friend. Jem took Hetty to his home. It was a chilly evening and the streets were bustling with the last-minute Christmas shoppers. The air was filled with the scent of roasted chestnuts and the sound of carolers singing joyfully. Hetty, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness, followed Jem through the winding alleys. It was a small, cramped room above a pub, but it was warm and cozy. The walls were adorned with colourful tapestries and old posters from past performances. The room had a lived-in feel, with mismatched furniture and a clutter of props and costumes scattered about. There was a fire burning in the hearth, casting a golden glow that made the room feel even more inviting. The crackling of the fire added to the ambience, making it a perfect refuge from the cold outside. Jem's family was a troupe of travelling performers. They had been on the road for as long as Jem could remember, bringing joy and entertainment to towns and villages far and wide. Each member of the family had a unique talent, from juggling to acrobatics, and they all contributed to the performances. They were all so welcoming to Hetty. As soon as she stepped inside, she was greeted with warm smiles and hearty handshakes. It was clear that this family was close-knit and full of love. They gave her food and drink, making her feel like she was part of their family. The table was laden with a feast of roasted meats, fresh bread, and an assortment of cheeses and fruits. Hetty couldn't remember the last time she had eaten so well.
"This is wonderful!" Hetty exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. She felt a warmth in her heart that she hadn't felt in a long time.
Hetty spent the rest of Christmas Eve with Jem and his family. They gathered around a beautifully decorated Christmas tree, its branches adorned with handmade ornaments and twinkling lights. The room was filled with laughter and the sound of children playing. They sang songs and told stories. The family had a rich repertoire of Christmas carols, and their harmonies filled the room with festive cheer. They also shared tales of their adventures on the road, each story more captivating than the last. They even taught Hetty how to juggle. Jem's younger siblings eagerly showed her the basics, and soon Hetty was laughing as she tried to keep the balls in the air. It was a moment of pure joy and camaraderie. That night, Hetty slept in a pile of blankets on the floor. The blankets were old but soft, and they provided a surprising amount of warmth. She nestled into them, feeling a sense of peace and contentment. It wasn't the most comfortable bed, but Hetty didn't mind. She was surrounded by the sounds of the family settling down for the night, their quiet conversations and gentle laughter lulling her to sleep. She felt loved and accepted. For the first time in a long while, Hetty felt like she belonged somewhere. The warmth of the family and the joy of the evening filled her heart, making this Christmas one she would never forget. On Christmas morning, Hetty woke up to the smell of cooking. Jem's mother had made a delicious breakfast of bacon and eggs. After breakfast, they all exchanged gifts. Jem's family didn't have much money, but they had made Hetty a special gift.
Here, Hetty, we made this for you.
It was a beautiful scarf and hat, knitted by Jem's grandmother. Hetty was so touched. She had never received such a thoughtful gift before. She realized that Christmas wasn't about presents. It was about spending time with people you loved.
"Thank you so much. This means the world to me."
Hetty spent the rest of Christmas Day with Jem and his family. The warmth and joy that filled their home was unlike anything she had ever experienced before. The laughter, the stories, and the love shared among them made her feel like she was part of something truly special. They went out into the streets and performed for people. Hetty even joined in. The streets were bustling with holiday cheer, and the air was filled with the sound of carols and laughter. Hetty felt a sense of belonging as she sang and danced alongside Jem and his family. She sang and danced and made people laugh. Her heart swelled with happiness as she saw the smiles on the faces of the people around her. It was a magical moment, one that she would cherish forever. That night, Hetty knew she had to go back to the Foundling hospital. The thought of leaving Jem and his family was bittersweet, but she knew it was the right thing to do. She had responsibilities and a place where she belonged, even if it wasn't as warm and loving as Jem's home.
"I have to go back now." Her voice was filled with determination, but also a hint of sadness. She knew she would miss the warmth and love she had felt that day.
She said goodbye to Jem and his family. They stood at the door waving and smiling, but their eyes were filled with tears. They had grown fond of Hetty and didn't want her to leave. They all hugged her tightly. The embrace was filled with love and warmth, and Hetty felt a sense of belonging that she had never felt before. It was hard to let go, but she knew she had to. Hetty climbed back through the window of the dormitory. The cold night air greeted her as she slipped back into the familiar surroundings of the hospital. It was a stark contrast to the warmth and love she had just left behind. She was exhausted, but she was also happy. The memories of the day played in her mind like a beautiful dream. She knew that she had experienced something truly special. She had had the best Christmas ever. It wasn't about the gifts or the decorations, but the love and joy she had shared with Jem and his family. Hetty knew that she would never forget the true meaning of Christmas. It was a lesson that would stay with her for the rest of her life. She realized that the true spirit of Christmas was about more than just material things. It wasn't about presents or decorations. Those things were nice, but they were not what made the day special. It was the love and connection she had felt that made it unforgettable. It was about love, friendship, and family. These were the things that truly mattered, and Hetty had found them in abundance with Jem and his family. And Hetty had found all three of those things with Jem and his family. She knew that no matter where life took her, she would always carry the warmth and love of that Christmas day in her heart. It was a Christmas to remember, one that had changed her forever.